the fourth step in the process, and this is basically how to design your offer and the pricing that's involved and so on. But before we get into the actual steps, what we have, we've got a special guest coming on. We did ask Steve Eagle to come on, who's actually been, who's taken this stuff and applied it. We wanted to actually talk to Steve a little bit about what's his perspective on doing the online events, how he's found them so far, and how they've worked for him. So let's see if I can find the talk button for Steve.
There we go.
Hey guys,
Steve,
how you going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good. Excellent.
Great.
How are you?
How you doing? Yeah, good. Having a great time.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks very much for getting on today. I appreciate that and giving up a part of your Saturday. That's cool. So, Steve, just so people know, where are you today? Where are you based and what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So I'm based in Bangkok today. I've got business up here in Thailand, and when coronavirus happened, then that's where I was. So that's where we've ended up. But from here, I'm still managing my businesses in Australia and China and the US as well. So very busy, but enjoying it.
Tell us a little bit about you, what it is that you do, and who is Steve Eagle? Well, why? What's a bit of your background so people get an idea?
Yeah, sure. I'm a South African-born Australian. I immigrated to Australia when I was 11 years old. I'm a product development specialist. So through my career, I studied fine art in university and then moved into prototyping and production for product design and product development. In my career, I've worked for a whole bunch of companies, but many of them household names like Ford Motor Company and Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, all these guys who were producing in Australia. And then also moved around the world servicing those same guys, and also my own businesses as well in product development.
Cool, excellent. So now recently you've been doing some training and teaching other people how to help source product and so on, and you did some work with us in terms of getting your how to buy and sell, so how to source Australian made products at Asia competitive prices. Did a one-day workshop. Just talk us through that process for you, how you found that, and so people who are listening today, talk to them from your point of view of not having any idea on how to do it and how it worked for you.
Yeah, sure. I guess for me, the journey was that I already knew Daryl and Andrew for a little bit of time, just as friends, but we had not worked together so much before. And then obviously through coronavirus happening, that disrupted some of our business. So we had a program doing workshops that were live workshops delivered from stage in Australia, normally a 3-day workshop. But that's now impossible. We can't travel back for that. Our clients can't travel to the workshops either. So that business came to a grinding halt around sort of February of this year. Dale and Andrew then sort of tapped me on the shoulder a bit after that and said, hey, we've got this idea. How about running a one-day workshop online? Sounded like a good solution. I was a little bit concerned, I guess, that we would be able to convert all of the content that we normally deliver in a 3-day live workshop into a one-day format in a good way that delivers value. That's very important to me. But then also gives the full breadth of what we're actually talking about in my programs, which is, as you said, how to buy Australian-made products at Asia competitive prices. So Daryl is really a genius at this, I have to say. Like, Daryl sort of sat me down and got into my head, and really within only a number of hours was able to sort of take my monologue, because I monologue a lot. I can sit here and talk all day about product development. She was able to take that, dissect it into what's meaningful, and then deliver a plan that was like a 5-step strategy, if you like, to explain my system and my process and do the workshop based around that 5-step plan. So that was fantastic for me. That's something I really struggle to do. I'm kind of so deep in the industry that I'm often the trees in the forest. I'm not even outside of the forest looking at trees or forest. I am the forest, so I can get stuck in the weeds pretty easily. But Daryl helped me sort of step back from that and organize it.
That's cool. So in terms of delivering your stuff online, we did a workshop. How hard or easy was that to deliver online? Had you done that before, and how did you find it?
Yeah, not online. I hadn't done it before. I mean, obviously, I've got teams around the world, so we Skype and we WebEx and this kind of thing all the time just to communicate internally. But I'd never done a presentation to a group, which was really a mixed group. In our first workshop, we had a few people who knew me and knew what we do all the way, but the majority actually were people who'd never seen us before. And I credit that to Kerry's back-end Facebook magic. She did some some wizardry there, which I still fully don't understand, but it's absolutely brilliant what the results she was able to get. I think in terms of turn up, we had over 400 register, if I remember correctly. There's around about 450 registrants. About over half of that were people completely new to us who had registered through Facebook Messenger. And getting those people to register was something that I thought might be difficult, right? Because they've not heard my message before. They don't know my backstory. They don't know my credentials. So there's a lot of unknowns in that. But man, did it deliver? We ended up getting our people to the workshop for less than $4 per person. And actually, the way that Kerry and Darryl and Andrew worked together to structure the program meant that a lot of those people who registered actually signed up for a VIP package before the workshop, which means that they got a workbook. And what else did they get? They got a workbook and a recording of the day event, which I think is great. That means they've got that as a reference. So when all that was said and done, our VIP people who signed up to the VIP actually paid for the marketing, which has never happened for me before. I'm used to running business where we're always measuring how much marketing budget we have to deliver a specific product. And it's quite amazing actually to actually get paid to market an event, then have the event go so well. We did a great job of converting on the day, and actually had finally around about $230,000 of revenue generated just in that one-day event, which was fantastic for the business, and really took the weight off our shoulders in the workshop business that was no longer possible, turning it into a one-day workshop online and doing such a great job of it. Really was a good stress relief in the middle of all the craziness that's happening at the moment.
Now, one of the things that you did, which worked quite well, is Kerry certainly went and put people in the workshop. We did going out to email lists as well, as we've been teaching people. But what you did is you actually went and hung out in groups, industry groups, and so on, and got people interested in there. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what you did there?
Yeah, so this was actually inspired by something that you said to me, Andrew, when we were putting the course content together and sort of the one-day workshop process, putting that together. And you encouraged me to go and find out a bit more information about maybe who this message is resonating with at the moment. So my initial thoughts were, okay, coronavirus has happened. A lot of people have probably reduced the hours at their work or lost their jobs in the worst case scenario. And I was wondering around how these people are looking to supplement or augment their incomes. And that matches closely with my message about how to find product and set up a sales channel, whether that's online or offline, to do volume sales and so on. So I just started looking for those people. And my initial thought was, if I had lost my job, what would I do? And I kind of thought, well, I would maybe think about an Amazon shop first and then start learning about other things. So I went and hung out in some of the Amazon groups particularly in Australia, because we're an Australian-made message. So started hanging out in some of those groups and met some of the admins of those groups, started conversations with them and just trying to touch base with them to find out how can we support with our message. Is there an audience for that with the people that they have, and offering them to come along to the free workshop. Right, and that free message is very attractive, right? Holding a free workshop to give a system as you know, an overview of the system, and then working from there, I think was very powerful. So a lot of people came out of that messaging, and quite a few of those admins have now become sort of colleagues or friends, if you like, in a professional sense. And we're now talking about how to joint venture on other projects with their lists, which are, you know, tens of thousands of people. So that's exciting.
So just to be clear, this is groups of people who you're not talking about you know, going to meetings, and you're actually talking about online groups that you found, and you're talking to the admins of the people that actually control the group or put the group together. You're getting to know them, and they're sort of promoting you from there as well. And they went to a lot of those people turned up to the workshop, and also gave Kerry a few things that her system could hook into and get more people like that as well, because they're very hyper aware of the message that you had, weren't they?
Right, yeah, and I think that really accounted for a lot of our good turn up rate of those that registered and those that actually arrived on the day was that messaging, and also how sophisticated the flow is of having Facebook Messenger integrate so smoothly. You know, it is actually very natural, and even now, I mean, we're sort of setting up another workshop now and watching people register for that. Not everybody realizes that they're talking to a bot. It's actually really interesting to see, you know, like people will sort of start the messaging process, and halfway through be asking very natural language questions like, oh, okay, that's great. Can you please tell me more about the VIP pack? And then the answer comes back automated. And then they're, oh, thank you, I understand that now. Can you please tell me about X, or, you know, when can I expect the email? They come back in very natural language, which tells me that the system is so sophisticated that they're actually perceiving it as a person interacting with them, which I think is a really nice personal touch as well. And it's a lot warmer than just getting an email or getting a you know, a message saying, hey, come along to this workshop. It's actually interactive, and I think that accounts for a lot of the buy-in.
Yeah, so just what Steve's talking about there is that, if you guys can see that on my phone, I'll just be quick, but you see all this stuff I'm scrolling through here. These are all the messages of people logging into the workshop for Steve there. His next workshop he's doing, they're coming on, and they're just, you know, all day, all night. I'm surprised. I'm a night owl. I stay up at, you know, 3 in the morning is not unusual for me to be up, and there's people sort of logging in at 3 in the morning. I said, what are you people doing? I said, oh, it's probably doing
the same thing. Like I was thinking, yeah, when I was thinking about the demographic who's interested in my stuff, I was thinking, oh, it's probably like professional couples or people who have like wanting to transition their career and things like this. And I in my own mind imagined that they'd be active on Facebook in the morning commute, like when you're going to work or you're, you know, having a coffee at work or something like this, and then in the afternoon commute, and then like after dinner. That's what I was expecting. I was completely wrong. That everybody seems to register between like 11 o'clock and 3 a.m. in the morning, as you just said, which is fascinating. I think that's, you know, really interesting. And you know, we don't have staff that are up at 3 a.m. in the morning to take your application messages on Messenger, but the system that Kerry implemented for us just does it flawlessly. It's really good.
That's cool.
I just have to turn my notifications off so that I can actually get some sleep.
That's exactly what I've done.
Yeah.
Okay, so in summary, you basically did a workshop, online workshop, hadn't done it before. Lots of people turned up, good success. Liked it so much, you're doing it again. And currently, I think you've got another. What about we're how far out? We're out a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks out.
Marketing for just over a week, and we've got about
200 booked in at the moment. So
yeah,
that's.
And to say we've been marketing over a week is really kind of overstating it in a lot of ways. What we've done is repurpose some of our original advertisements, which I'd put together in video. So we've repurposed a few of them, which are still relevant to what we deliver. And then I've gone back into some of the groups where I had a good response and a warm response to what I was talking about, and just reminded them that we're running workshops. And that's really about it. And in the last sort of 7 days doing that stuff, we've got, what is it, over 200 people now?
Over 200. So A lot of them.
Which is
So what we did,
fantastic.
we pretty much switched on the advertising campaigns that Kerry created for us for the first workshop, which was what, 3 or 4 weeks ago. We pretty much switched that back on, tweaked it a little bit. I think Kerry, you might have maybe tweaked it slightly. I don't know that we even did that. And the rest, as Steve said, has been mainly the organic stuff that he's been doing.
Cool. So so that's all going to happen again, and you shouldn't, that should go well, as no reason why that won't go as good, if not better, than the last one. So in summary, can you tell us, you run a lot of businesses. How many businesses, by the way, do you have running?
So there's sort of 4 key businesses that I operate in, and they're import, export, software development, and then online education and sustainability in the 4 different sectors. So they're actually quite diverse and very different from each other. We have bricks and mortar retail, we have office of developers up here in Thailand, and we have Amazon shops in the US, and then we're running workshops as well. So all of the businesses are very different. Beyond that, we also do a lot of startup activity as well. So I'm involved at the moment in supporting and advising somewhere between sort of 5 and 9 startups, as well as my day job that I do. Yeah.
So for you to be able to do a workshop brand new and get it all running and everything like that, that must be taking hours and hours a day for you. How much work has it taken you to do that, to get those 6 figures coming in?
Yeah, very little, and this is what blew me away about it, and why it makes me smile when I talk about it, is because one of my criteria moving into this was that I'm time poor in general terms, just because I've got a lot on. So I need to be very careful with how I manage my time and where I spend the hours in my day to be active and have all of my businesses and my teams successful. So in that way, making a burden of kind of like designing another workshop and delivering it and so on and so forth was something that felt like it could run into the rocks pretty quickly. But I really have to credit again you guys, Daryl and Andrew, for being able to help me structure that and really show I guess a systemized way for content development and for delivery of the stuff that we do. That's really taken that burden off. Now in 1 week, it varies week to week, but I'd say in 1 week, if I'm spending 3 to 5 hours on this business, it's enough to keep it growing at the rate that it is now, which is kind of remarkable, really, if you think about the return on that. 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month, and doing these kind of numbers every workshop that we do, it's actually, probably if you just put down percentages, it would make my other businesses look like they're not performing as well. I'd have to get in there and crack the whip a bit.
Yeah. So
I think the other thing about it too, Steve, is that because most of what you're doing is actually group support, adding more people. So if you double the number of people, it's certainly not going to double the number of hours. So you can go from that 230,000 from one event. You could multiply that tenfold, and I doubt that your hours would go up significantly from that.
Absolutely. So
10 hours a week max if you were doing 10 times that.
Yeah, I think so, and I've got every confidence that this will turn into a 7-figure business in its first 12 months. There's no doubt about it, really. If you look at what's achieved in the first workshop, even in that first workshop, we learned a lot of valuable lessons around how to maybe structure the content a little bit differently on the day to make it more impactful and to really resonate with what people are looking for when they arrived at the workshop. So we're going to improve, and that's exciting. Like the huge I guess impetus for me to do this is to help other Australian businesses leverage what they do and become profitable and productive in this difficult time. I've got absolutely no doubt that we're achieving that, and our first workshop shows that immediately. We've already got people out of that workshop who joined our program, who are kicking goals and selling product. That's just going to grow and prosper. So it's really good, actually. The whole group thing that you were saying about, Daryl, this is the first time I've done this in a way where my clients know who each other are, as you can imagine, in product development, that's quite a sensitive conversation, right? It's very much confidential information about your business, your product, your supply chain. But we've decided to open that up in a controlled way, and that's in its own way developing community that I can't do, right? My clients are now talking to each other and inspiring each other to do things that I can assist them with, but it's really sort of taking on its own persona in that way.
Good stuff.
It's exciting
Okay,
to see.
so in summary, one reason that we wanted Steve to come on and talk to you, he's a great case study, and I had a couple of comments here. Love the case study, great story. So you're getting a bit of good feedback there, Steve, so well done. In summary, Steve hadn't done this process before, has a whole bunch of businesses going at the same time, so he's time poor, didn't have much time to do it, but saw the opportunity, jumped in and backed his information, had something to share. So Steve's positioned as the expert, and also he's kind of like he's done it himself. So he's done both. He knows what he's doing, but he's also done it himself in terms of the topics he's talking about. Found that hungry crowd, as we talked about before, and just gave it a go and went and done it, and made a few mistakes on the way, but got a great result and is able to rinse and repeat and do it again, guys. So well done, Steve. So why don't we give Steve a big cyber clap in on the question box there. Say, tell him what you thought about his effort there. Thank you for giving up your time and doing this. Is really exceptional for you. Steve's just done this out of the goodness of his heart, not getting anything out of it. So we really do appreciate you just sharing with everybody there. So say hi, thanks to Steve in the question box there, guys. So you can see all your comments.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's wonderful watching the comments come in and really great. Look, I'm going to steal the mic quickly and say a huge thank you to the three of you, Daryl, Andrew, and Kerry. There is absolutely no way on this earth I would have sort of considered the success of such a short cycle from our first sit down where we went, okay, let's do the 1-day workshop and plan the slides around that, to actually delivering the workshop. It was only sort of 17 days or 14 days. It was in that sort of a time frame. It was about 2 weeks. And to get the result that we had that quickly just kind of blew my mind, to be honest. That none of that would have happened without your help, your system, your tuition, and your expertise as well. So it's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well, don't underestimate. You had to say yes, let's do it. So that's all.
That was the easy part. That was the easy part.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Big clap for Steve. Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
So
Steve.
we'll see you soon.
See ya.
Okay, bye-bye.
How's that, guys? It was pretty cool. So we'll just get you back over here. Our stuff sign up. Is that cool? Cool, guys. Did you like that? It was good to hear somebody else, not just us, out there and doing it. Steve's basically sitting where you were a few months ago, wondering whether or not he should do this. Took the opportunity, and it's worked out for him. So good to see. Okay, let's kick off with step number 4 in our process. Are we ready to go?
We are.
Good to go, Kerry?
Yep, I'm good to go. Just answering questions.
Okay. Keep those questions coming in, guys. Keep those coming in. Okay, so step 4 in our process. This is all about designing the offer and the pricing, making sure that you got your offer right. This is a critical part of it. It's if you get this wrong, everything else doesn't really matter. You got to be able to give the people an offer that they want. What we like to talk about is being able to give your clients a no-brainer offer, or make your offer a no-brainer. What this basically means is that your offer should be in people's minds. If they're interested in doing what you're talking about, if they're interested in going further on the subject that your workshop's on, they should look at your offer and go, you know what, I'd be silly not to do this offer. I'd be stupid not to go ahead with this. This is going to make it so much easier, quicker. I'll pay a little bit here and get more in the background. So it should be a no-brainer decision for them. That's what you're trying to work towards when you get your offer together. Make it something that's just so simple and easy, a simple and easy decision for them to make if they're interested in getting ahead. So to make all that happen, your offer needs a couple of critical things. Firstly, that you should be thinking about is your offer should be high perceived value in the minds of your clients. So I'll say high perceived value in the minds of your clients. but low cost of delivery, or low cost and easy for you to deliver. Okay, so what do we mean by that? Well, the product itself, what you're actually giving people, needs to be something that your clients really want. Okay, not what you think they need so much. It's about what they desire. It should help them achieve an outcome or a result that's high value for them. If they can get that answer to that problem, or if they can get that thing fixed, or if they can get the outcome that your product is promising, then that's such a high value outcome for them. Okay, so for us, for example, on this particular workshop we're doing here, we're showing you a system that's been proven to make 6 figures in for people that we've been using within either weeks or at least a couple of months, getting it up and running, getting 6 figures back. So that's high value. That has high value. It has 6 figures at least. And Kerry's showing you that she's been able to turn it into 7 figures and so on. Within what was the time frame, Kerry? What was your time frame again? It was like
My first one was
no, the whole lot that you went over. It's about 3 months. Was it?
Started in mid-May.
Mid-May. Okay, so that's the kind of value that it's offering here. So whatever you're providing, make sure that it's high perceived value for your clients. But low cost of delivery is important as well. And so what does that actually mean? Well, there's information you might have in your head, or there's systems that you might have, which really cost you virtually nothing to provide to somebody else. But if they can get that information, it's very, very good for them. They're able to turn that into something of value for them. And quite often that information, if you give it to somebody, doesn't really cost you anything. It's not going to hurt your business or hurt anything else. But it's low cost of delivery for you, but it's high value for them. You might have a thing or a widget or something where you have a lot of them, you have cheap access to those, and you can provide those, but for people to get that, they can turn that into a lot more money and so on. That's why we like information. Information products is really good because it helps us deliver stuff in a low cost way, but it's high perceived value for clients. And it's easy. Easy to deliver is another factor. If your delivering of the program that you're offering is difficult and hard or complicated, then I would suggest you look again and see if you can get something else to deliver, because you want it simple, easy, and low cost to deliver. Okay, hopefully that makes sense so far. Remember, guys, as we're going through, make sure that you're chucking your questions in the question box as we're going through here. So let's talk about pricing.
Cool. Okay, so we mentioned it before. What we're finding is that the ideal price point for selling on a one-day online event is between $3,000 and $10,000. And we can talk about payment plans and so on in a minute. But the way that we think about it is, what's our marketing method? So with a $3,000 to $10,000 product, it actually fits nicely between a webinar and a 3-day face-to-face event in our Ascension model. So if you're not sure what an Ascension model is, an Ascension model is where you have one topic, and what you do is you sell different products at different price levels to that same niche or to that same list. So you might start off with, a free giveaway to build your list, and then you might have, say, an ebook or a membership site that's under $100 or under $100 a month. And then your next level might be a home study pack, which you'd normally sell on a webinar, maybe between $500 and $3,000. And then in our model, our next jump up was to our 3-day live event, where we would sell a $10,000 to $50,000 program. So there was always that gap in between webinars and 3-day live events of that kind of $3,000 to $10,000. And it wasn't until COVID hit and we couldn't run our live events that we actually went, you know what, let's actually fill that gap. And so what we're finding is that's a real sweet spot. Now, we've had a couple of questions earlier about, what if I'm only selling a $1,000 product? Will that work for the one-dayer? Yes, it will, but it's probably overkill. If you have a $1,000 product, then sell it on a 1-hour webinar. You don't need a whole one day in order to sell a $1,000 product. But what you should be thinking about is, what can I add to my $1,000 product to make it a $3,000 to $10,000 program? And we'll show you in a minute some of the things that you can really massively add value with without it actually taking a lot of your time or a lot of cost to actually deliver those things. So if you're currently selling a lower price thing, think about how you you can add value to increase the price. If you're selling higher price things currently, think about how you could cut that down, make it perhaps a bit more leverage to deliver. Hopefully that makes sense, guys, in terms of the Ascension model. Just let us know if that makes sense. I know for some people the Ascension model is a new concept, and for some it's kind of brand new. So it would be good to know if that all was clear to you. So we can just go make sense or yes in the question box, or no if it doesn't. I'm happy to recap on that. All makes sense. Excellent. Okay, so in terms of pricing, regardless of what your price point is, always a good idea to offer payment plans with a discount for paying in full up front. So you might offer, for example, $10,000 or 13 payments of 1,000, or the 7 just under those. If you're so typically with a with a $3,000 pack, so 2,997, you could do 2,997 up front or 13 payments of 297. So it becomes a $3,000 to $3,500 program. If you've got a $5,000 program, then 13 payments of 497 as your part payments. Because typically what people will look at is, what can I afford right now per month? So, you know, whether that's 3 months or 6 months or 12 or 13 months, they're not normally looking at the number of payments. What they're looking at is, can I cash flow it? And so, you know, look at what is manageable for people on a monthly basis in your niche and in terms of the value that you're providing back. Also consider offering finance, and so that's what we're doing with this one. We know that you know, if you want to get into doing what it is that we're doing here with very, very little expenditure up front, then a great way to do that is to actually get finance for it, so that your outlay up front for the program is minimal. Your outlay up front, we know already, for the marketing and the platform is minimal. So you can be making money with this system really, really quickly without outlaying a whole lot of stuff. It's almost, and I won't say it is, it's almost a no money down strategy if you work it right. So with one of the finance companies that we deal with, you can we can get finance for a $10,000 loan for as little as $52 a week. For $4,000, it's $30 a week. So it just makes it a no-brainer for people. If they want to get involved, price is just not an issue for them. Those of you who do end up in the program will certainly walk you through a couple of options that we've used that work really well for finance for training programs.
And just adding to that, Cheryl, just for a quick one, adding to that, the great thing about that actual, if you know, people do apply for finance for your program or whatever else, or even for ours, when is that the finance company can offer finance for the program plus whatever associated costs are with the program as well. So you're not just limited. So for us, it's like them, you know, if there's ad costs and whatever else, that's what it also can do. So,
yeah. So if you want to, you know, borrow 11,000 or 12,000 and, you know, put that towards your ads, you can absolutely do that, for example, in our program. Now, Alison's saying, are you finding people have less disposable income right now? It's actually really interesting. I think they have less play money, and I think people are being far more discerning about where they put their money. And I think people are realizing that there are much better things that they could be spending their money on, things that are going to stop the stress of what they've gone through, so they never have to go through that again.
The other thing that they're realizing is they can't rely on a job anymore or something like that. They have to be self-sufficient and have other sources of income as well. And as I'm sure some of you on the call even have found out, that that job that you thought was fairly stable and reliable just ceased to exist for some folks. That's a problem. So if you need to be the master of your own income and being able to generate that, and that's what a lot of people like in terms of our programs, particularly showing you how you can get more money in and how you can control it.
During the GFC, so, you know, 2009, 10, 11, I guess, the recovery after the GFC, they were probably some of the best years that we ever had in terms of just conversion rates and the number of people wanting to buy our stuff. Because suddenly there was a real urgency to do it. You know, she'll be right was no longer good enough. People were going, okay, well, she actually won't be right. I need to do something serious, and they're prepared to put the money towards it. So, you know, Australia's a pretty wealthy country. Most people can tap into $10,000 pretty easily.
Yep.
There's another question. I've got an answer to this one. Yeah. So we're going to answer a question here. What about products and services that don't necessarily make money? What we've been finding with some of our clients, they are actually selling products and services that don't make money, and they've actually sold more. So Jackie, for instance, teaches people how to paint blooms, and she's taken her whole entire course and system online. She held retreats and things like that. And this is for people to learn how to do art effectively. Sure, there's another component where they can make money, but she's finding that her courses, sales for her art courses have increased during this time, because people have the time now to do things that they have wanted to do. And like Andrew and Daryl were just saying, is that people can access money. They've been accessing their super. People have been getting grants for all sorts of things as well. So I must say I haven't really found that issue with that side of things. And a lot of my clients that I'm working with now are actually also growing during this period, and they're not necessarily make money niches. So
just on that point, one of the in hard times, historically, people want to have escapism. They want to be able to escape. So in the Great Depression, one of the things that came out of the Great Depression was the movie industry and so on. That really took off. It was the birth of superheroes and things like that. Sort of came out of comic books around that time as well. Really started to take hold and so on. And what's happening in the psyche of the people that they wanted to have an escape from the reality, the stress or the pain that they're feeling in everyday life and so on. And so things like, you know, learning how to paint or doing things which relieve people or give them that sort of escapism, the thing that they've always wanted to do. That's sort of like a bit of a guilty little pleasure that they'll do, and they'll invest in that to go ahead if you're giving them what they want. You have to get into the mind of your client and provide what they want. Okay, good stuff. So let's continue on pricing.
Alrighty. Now, what you want to do is actually demonstrate either return on investment, if what it is that you're providing is something which makes money, or demonstrate to people how they will achieve a goal or overcome a problem. So you really need to emphasize what the benefits are, and that the benefits outweigh what they would actually be spending on that. So you know, a part of all of this is actually coming up with the right price for your program, but it does need to deliver overwhelming value in the mind of your client. Okay. Now, one day is not a long time to build rapport. So as we said, we normally sell between a $10,000 and $50,000 program, off a 3-day event, and we have high conversion rates with that. You know, typically we're getting 20, 30, 40, even 50% of people who attend a 3-day event taking up offers at those sort of prices. One day is not as long for you to actually build that level of rapport and trust, and, you know, demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. So you really do need to go out of your way with this to show how it can really translate into benefits for your clients. Now, the thing to remember, and Kerry, you and I have both experienced this, haven't we? You can actually start with a lower price and increase it as you build confidence and as you get more client success stories. So the very first time that we ever sold anything worth more than about $2,000 was, we were running an event. This was way back in 2007. And Andrew said to me, hey, I think we should sell a $10,000 program. And I just went off my head at him. Who would ever pay us $10,000? You know, how is that ever going to, that would be rude, asking people for $10,000. They've all paid us $2,000 to be at the event. Anyway, luckily Andrew was a very patient man. And so we ended up making the offer. And we had 52 people go, yep, here's my $10,000. And so, you know, that it was my mindset basically that was stopping me from going, yeah, I have something which is worth $10,000. These days I have no such problems. But Kerry, I know you had a similar experience at the outset.
Very, very similar experience, and exactly the same sort of scenario as you now. But no, I started with a $97 product, and then I very quickly pulled up to $197 within a couple of weeks. And then I spoke to Andrew and Daryl, and basically, actually, this is what was really cool about it, to be honest. A couple of things. One is that you know, they switched my mindset, which was great, by basically saying, no, you're gonna, it's $1,000, and I'm like, oh, okay. And the other one was just tweaking my slides and my offer. And so I went from 1 week not actually being able to sell this thing. Actually, I did sell a couple of programs at 197, by the way. We're talking 9 years ago or so. I sold a couple of programs at 197, and someone actually came back to me recently and said, I bought that program and this is all the stuff that's happened, and they've been super successful since, which was super, super cool. But yes, within a week I sold a whole heap the week later at $1,000. So more than I thought was possible, but that was with A, tweaking the PowerPoints, B, tweaking the offer, and C, mindset. And then it was like, oh, 1,000's actually not enough now that we've moved on as well. So 100%. So
let us know in the question box, guys. Where are you at price-wise? Do you feel comfortable selling something at $10,000, more than $10,000? Do you feel like you may be more, at the moment as we speak, you may be more down around that $3,000 level? Where are you sitting price-wise yourself? What's your feeling on what you could sell something? Cool. Okay, we've got people coming in, different prices.
Under 500, we're going to one at 3,000. We've got under 1,000, 2,997.
Cool.
Nice. So who's thinking that perhaps after they've heard some of this stuff, maybe they need to think about putting their price up a little?
Who would like to put their price up? Excellent. That's cool. Okay, so where are we up to here?
All righty. So yes, so you can start with a lower price. You can start with a lower price and then increase it later on. You know, as we said, nothing wrong with running an event every month if you want to. And as you build your confidence, as you build your success stories, then absolutely start putting your price up. Okay, so what we're going to cover now are the different elements that you can actually put in your offer. Now, this is a little bit of a smorgasbord. Don't think, oh, wow, I've got to pack all of these things into my program. A lot of it's going to be dependent on exactly what your topic or your niche is, but it's also going to depend on your price point and what it is that your clients actually want. So we're going to give you a range of different things, and it's about picking and choosing which ones are relevant for you. Those of you who end up in the program, we actually help you put this together. We've done this for a lot of people, so we're pretty good at picking what makes an overwhelming offer and help you design that. You guys looking at, there's a few questions there. You two looking at those?
Under control.
Yay. Okay, so here are the sorts of things that you can include. So the first one is some sort of training in your system. So regardless of what your system is, whether you know, it's a personal development thing, whether it's a how to make money thing, whether it's an art and craft thing, whatever it is, you need to actually have a step-by-step system. Now, one of the things that can stop you or delay you in actually delivering your event is thinking, oh, I've got to produce the program before I can sell it. No, you don't. We are very much about sell it before you build it. And so what we mean by that is think about what you want to include in your program, but don't create it yet, okay? So if you have a system, know what the steps in the system are, know how it is that you would actually go about achieving the results or teaching someone how to achieve the results. But when you get your first group join, the way you actually build your program is that you run it as live webinars. You then record those webinars and pop them into a members area so that as people join down the track, you then have pre-recorded training in your system. So that's why we've got in this first point, live or pre-recorded training. If you don't already have it recorded, don't start recording it before you sell it. Who would rather get paid to build their product rather than sit there for 6 months building product and thinking, oh, I hope this sells? You'll always produce a much, much better product if you actually build it as you go, because your clients will actually give you feedback and tell you how it could be improved.
Is that like a trick question? Is it?
We've got me.
Who would like to get paid now or 6 months' time? Now.
Okay. Tony says stop bugging him on Skype. Okay, so here are the elements you can include: live or pre-recorded training in your system. The next thing is what we call swipe files or templates, tools and checklists. So swipe files are anything which you have created as in your role as either an expert or someone with a personal success story, or as a reporter. Swipe files are things that you've already created to make your life easier. Okay, so to help you implement whatever the outcome, the tangible outcome is that you're getting, and you simply provide those to your clients so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel. You release copyright on it so that they can use them for themselves. So in Kerry's case, she might give you, for example, her messenger flows. That would be a swipe file. We might give you emails that we've written, or ads, or you know, here's our workshop booking page. Here's the template for that. So any sort of thing which is already created, which makes people's lives easier, this, because you've already got it created, that can add massive value to people. They don't have to reinvent the wheel, but it takes you very, very little time to actually produce and deliver. Normally some sort of one-on-one strategy call with you. Now, the way we do this, we do it right at the outset because we know that's where we add the most value, when we do the initial planning with you to make sure that you're on the right track. Now, here's where you can really flip your thinking around. If you are currently swapping hours for dollars, so let's say you're a service business, a consultant or a personal trainer or a life coach, or you know, some sort of professional services, lawyer, doctor, accountant, and so on. Pretty much everything that you sell is your time, with maybe a little bit of other stuff that you might, you know, you might sell some consumables, for example, but the majority of your income is coming from your time. What we want to do here is flip your thinking around so that you think of your time, think of it in terms of a meal. If you're currently swapping hours for dollars, then what you're selling is like selling the meal. What we're talking about here is giving people the meal, and your time is like the seasoning on top. Okay, it's just a little bit of seasoning on top that brings everything to life. It's not the whole thing. And that, I think, is a really big transition for people who tend to think, oh, but you know, it has to be me doing one-on-one stuff. Dangerous way to do business, caps out your time, and really vulnerable. So this can really flip that around. Okay, other things that you can include: email access to you and your team. You don't have to answer all the emails if you don't want to. As your business grows, you can certainly outsource that. Access to a private Facebook group. So as Kerry was saying before, you know, people are super active in her Facebook group. People absolutely love it. They're helping each other. They're doing joint ventures. There's all sorts of cool stuff happening in there. And really, you know, it doesn't take you much, if any, time. You need a moderator for your group, but that doesn't need to be you. A voucher for a done for you component. So you'll notice in this program, we've provided you with a voucher for, we will build your event booking page for you. Okay, so that's a done for you. Kerry will build all of your Facebook marketing and your messenger marketing for you. So again, those things take no time or effort to produce up front. You can offer those right now and roll them out once people have bought. VIP tickets to your live events as well. So when we are able to run our live events again, then you know, you want to have a bunch of people turn up to those, and so that's a great thing to include. And some sort of small group done with you intensive, either online or face-to-face. And Kerry, you've been doing these really successfully for what, 6 months now, a bit more?
So we did the in-person ones. It's a year basically. Last week did a 1 year from rolling out the 3-day retreats, but we transitioned the retreats online, and the last 2, we're holding our 3rd one online next weekend. But yeah, they're just as successful. In fact, to be honest, the online 3-day, we still call them retreats. In terms of people getting results, we've had more people get better results from the online ones than we have from the in-person ones. A couple of reasons why. We've perfected as we've gone along, but there's no bubbles and food and shitty chat distractions.
And I was able to attend it. Normally I couldn't get back to Australia for your face-to-face ones. I was able to do one of your online ones, and they're amazing. Yeah. I learned so much.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so there's some of the elements that you can include in your offer. Are you getting the idea now? You're getting some ideas? Let us know if this is kind of sort of making sense to you and it's coming together. Give us an idea in the chat box there if you've got some, if this is making sense to you and it's all coming together.
And Lisa's saying, love the seasoning analogy. Excellent. I'm pleased someone got that. Excellent.
Good stuff. That's your favorite analogy
It's
at the
my
moment,
favorite
isn't it?
analogy right now. Yeah, I see
Cool.
people light up when they see that.
Come on, guys, make sure that you're responding there. There's a whole bunch of you who have been sitting there nice and quietly. Shirley, I can see you're there. Sally Ann, Rihanna, Prue, come on, let us know.
These are the ones in a live workshop, Andrew, when you say who hates the idea of who hates to put their hand up and who hates the idea of standing in front of the mic and speaking.
Yes.
These are the ones that are that person, the ones that have not said anything. You know, you're in the comfort of your own home, guys. You can actually put your hand up and speak through the mic, aka type.
It's okay. Okay, so let's move on then. What I want to talk to you about now are some of the keys to success in designing your offer. Okay, here are some of the things that we found that sort of overdoing offers for not just in the one-day workshops, but in our larger workshops as well. These things have worked as well. So let's have a closer look at that. Okay, first thing you need to understand is whatever you do, whatever you put into your offer, no matter how good it is and so on, you need to make sure that you are able to express it simply. What it is that you're able to express, what it is, it's able to be simply expressed. So keeping it simple and short. Make sure that your offer provides the solution that the people are looking for, but it also looks easy to implement, or you can show them how you're going to help them in the difficult parts. Okay, we know there are some things in this particular system that we're showing you now which are, you know, if you're doing them for the first time, you might find them difficult. They're not really once you get to do it a couple of times, but the first time you look at it, you might go, oh, that's a bit hard. Well, that's why we're going to either do it for you or we're going to hold your hand when you're doing it as well. So we're going to make sure that it's simple in that way. So when you're doing it with your clients, you need to make sure that you can make it look simple and make the solution either easy for them to do themselves, or you take away the hard bit from it. Okay, and you just do it for them. Okay, give them overwhelming value by providing solutions to their problems, and the cost of you providing that solution is a fraction of what the actual problem is costing them, or the benefit that they can get out of applying the solution can make them. Okay, so if I was going to give you $100,000, would you give me $10,000 to give you $100,000? Who would do that deal? Okay, who would take who would give me $10,000 for me to give you $100,000? Okay, if you're guaranteed you're going to get that $100,000, who would take that deal? Yep. People are saying, yep, sure would. Now you do that every day, and you take 10 of them, wouldn't you? You know, because the value I'm giving you is worth more than what I'm asking from you. Well, that concept is the same in your offer. So providing overwhelming value in terms of the solution that you provide or the benefits that they get out of it, if they're going to spend money and it's going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars anyway, and you can show them how they can not do that for a fraction of that cost, then hey, why wouldn't they take up your stuff? That's what I mean by a no-brainer offer. Overwhelming value is a big key. Make your offer leveraged in a way that you can deliver to either in group training, i.e. webinars and intensives and so on, or you have a system which is easy to follow. Have a templated success system is what we like to look at. Try to avoid doing a brand new thing for every client every time, because that's where that whole brand new thing for every client every time is time consuming, and it's generally an experiment. If you're having to do a brand new system for everybody every time you do it, it's generally an experiment, and you're experimenting on their dollar. You don't want to get into that situation. If you have the whole idea of having a success system, it means that there's a step-by-step process that you can follow that put them in this end and it pops out that end the way that they want it. Either money pops out or the solution pops out to their problem. That system that you have, you can apply to different people, and if it doesn't suit everybody, don't take that person on. Make sure you get somebody who fits your system and works well. That way you can provide easy to follow solutions. It doesn't mean you can't tailor it for them, but the basic body of it is your system that you take them through. So use webinars. You can do intensives where you get a couple of people together and work them through in that way, or you can do checklists and templates, etc. When you do need to talk to people and tailor their stuff for them, for example, in this program, Daryl and I are going to work with you one-on-one to get your do your planning. When we do that, that's just going to be us, and that way we can just focus on you and get your stuff done. But that's where we're going to deliver our best value, because an hour spent right there will set you up for the rest of the program, and that's where that's a sort of critical pinch point. So if we can spend a couple of hours with you there, get that right, everything else becomes easy at that point, and so on. Okay, demonstrate a return on investment if you can. Okay, so I'm using this. I'll use this scenario right now because this is one we've been talking about. But for us, our program is 9,997. And generally speaking, that's the price of a client. So how I demonstrate that is, look, if I can get you one more client is all it's going to take to pay for the price of the program. So if you're serious about doing this, and we can get you one more client, that's going to pay for the price of the program. Anything above that is gravy in that sense. So that way you can kind of demonstrate the return on the program. If it's something like, hey, we're I'm going to show you how to, let's talk, Kerry, for example, is talking about her Facebook program. Kerry's going to show you a system where you can get a stream of clients coming in and attending your webinar or coming in and buying your product and so on. Now, if you know your clients are worth, $1,000 a piece, how many do you need to get only 10 more clients to get back the price of the program, etc. Do you think you can do 10 more clients in the next 12 months? So that's kind of demonstrating return on investment. If it's an intangible thing, if it's more of an intangible sort of result, what's it going to be worth to you to make that pain stop? Or what's it going to be worth to you if it's one of our clients is one of our clients that we work with helps women who divorced get back in the dating game, but find a magnificent man. That's her whole thing. So basically, but what she does is she firstly has to deal with, why did they break up in the first place? What's the patterns that they repeat? And in relationships, because she's saying that most women actually go through patterns of relationships. So her demonstration is basically, what was the cost of your divorce like last time? How much did it cost you to do that breakup? What does that cost you emotionally, physically, and financially? So would it be worth the cost of this if I could avoid, you could avoid having to go through that again? And so that's a demonstration of return on investment as well. So think about how you can demonstrate that return, how you solve that problems, how you help them achieve their goals and so on. What's it worth to you to do that? And then also add a bonus which has a bit of a wow factor in it. A bonus should be something that people go, wow, I'd really like to do that. Gets them to jump and makes them really excited about what it is that you are doing. So they've got the structure of everything, but then you give them that bonus, and if they act quickly and if they join your program, then they can get that fantastic bonus and get involved. So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry, one more. Adjust for, sorry, what's it saying?
Okay, so one of the keys to success is you don't have to get it right first time.
Oh, yes.
Adjust for future events until you get it right.
Yes, sorry. Okay, so we normally say test and measure.
There you go.
So what we're trying to say is test and measure. So do something, test it, see if it works, measure if it worked or not, and then run it again after you've adjusted it. So keep testing and measuring, adjust for future events until you get it right. Not everything goes right the first time. And so, understand that sometimes failure is a part of the success system. I'll say that again. Failure is a part of the success system. So you might run an ad, it might not work. Okay, so what do? We don't go, oh, this stuff doesn't work and that's it. We go, oh, well, that one didn't work. That means I know what's not working today. I need to adjust something and then try it again, adjust something, try it again. Kerry, how many times would you be adjusting stuff in ads and so on in your Facebook program?
Pretty much continuously. because sometimes when you do get it right, then you want to beat it.
Yep.
So,
Definitely.
yeah.
So,
But one of the
so
things,
you're
just a really quick one, and jumping in with that one very, very quickly, when you're running ads on Facebook, when you first set them up, you still do have to leave them 3 days before you start adjusting and testing and split testing, because it takes Facebook 3 days to be able to fully optimize an ad. So just as a little side segue jumping in there, then after that, you go for it. You go and split test, tweak, adjust.
cool. So that happens with everything that we do. Test and measure, test and measure, test and measure. We're always trying to beat your last control. Okay, so test and measure all the time. Adjust for future events until you get it right. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, winners and learners, not winners and losers.
Test and measure. Alrighty. Okay, so guys, that is step 4. So that one is all about designing your offer and pricing. So what we're going to talk about next is designing your event and preparing the actual presentation. But just before we move on, let me know if there's any questions about the design of your offer. Any questions? We all good?
I think I talked over you there before. Were you talking about Gary's winners and learners comment there? Before
Winners
Gary?
and learners.
Yeah, so Gary's saying winners and learners as opposed to winners and losers. That's great. Haven't seen that before, so I'm going to use that now, Gary. That's
Nice.
mine now.
Love it.
You'll now see quotes. You'll now see quotes coming out from Andrew with that, and then his name underneath, because it's.
There you go, Gary. Make sure that he credits you with it.
Yeah.
I'll send you the invoice.
Send the invoice. Thanks,
excellent.
Gary.
Gary's a Kiwi. Good on you.
Yeah. Aren't they all out there?
Stop it. All righty. Okay, so cool. Yeah, Stephen's saying like the combination of tangible and non-tangible things in the value stack. So yeah, you can absolutely do a mix of those. Alrighty, so let's talk about designing your event and preparing the presentation. Okay, so when we are designing the event, remember what we've done so far is we've come up with your message. I help ideal client to tangible result. What we need to do then is design it top down. So we know who the ideal client is we're targeting. We know what the tangible result is that we want to give them. What we want to do now is break that into 4 stages. Now you'll see in this one, we actually had 8 steps in our process. And so it's not 1 step per session because I've only got 4 sessions, but we can group them and combine them. But what we want is 4 key messages and have an aha in each one. Okay, so at least 4 key messages with an aha in each one. So you'll remember one of the things that we've been doing at the end of each session is asking you, what's been your biggest aha? And so one of the ways that we test and measure and improve for future events is that we have a look at that list of ahas that you've given us and go, right, everyone really liked that one, but no one mentioned that one. So we can use that information then to improve in subsequent events. We make the offer at the end of session 2. Okay, so that's when we have the maximum number of people on the call. They have also seen us for 2 sessions already, so we've started to build that relationship, demonstrate we know what it is that we're doing, been able to give you some examples of how it's worked successfully maybe for us and for other people. But at that point, we make that offer. Now, we don't do it as a, oh, you've got to make a decision right now, you know, put in your credit card. As you've seen, it's by application. And we give people, you know, the rest of the day basically to make the decision about whether or not you want to actually put in an application and have a discussion with us. So what we do is, and we'll do it at the end of this session, we'll do it at the end of the day. People want to have time to be able to process it. Is this something that I'm, you know, serious about considering? Is it something I'd like to have more of a discussion about? And so we'll recap it a couple of times so that by the end of the day, by the cutoff for applications, you will have decided one way or the other, do I want to have a conversation about it? Okay, so allow time in your session to do that. So about 20 minutes, 25 minutes for your offer at the end of session 2, and 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how many questions you've had, to recap it at the end of sessions 3 and 4. But don't miss out that bit. You know, that's where you're going to be deriving your income from the event from. Plus, if you've done it right, if you have amazing value in your offer, then you know that anyone who does end up in your program is going to have a life-changing experience. Okay, your program really needs to be something which can, and which you have the confidence to know can actually change lives. And so don't shirk on making those offers, even if it feels a little uncomfortable. Encourage lots of interaction with questions and feedback. So you'll see, I think by now we've got thousands of comments in the question box here from everyone. You know, you really need to hold people's attention more than you do if you're actually in a live face-to-face event. And make sure that you give real value in your content. Okay, so like we said right at the start, it's not just a tease, it's not just a little bit of an overview, but don't make it too heavy. Include case studies and teaching tools. So we talk about our Goldilocks approach. And so we might actually do our Goldilocks test here. So tell us in the question box, you can choose one of three. Has it been too heavy and too complicated? Has it been too light on and too much fluff, not enough substance? Or has it been just right?
So which numbers
So
are
too
which?
heavy, too light, or just right are your choices. Heavy, light, or just right.
Heavy, light, or just right? Put that in the chat box. Everybody can participate, please.
That's our Goldilocks test. And normally we'd do that face-to-face with getting you to put your hands up. But, oh, we're doing well so far. Everyone has said just right so far. Perfect even. Look at that.
So heavy, light, or just right?
I've
Heavy,
changed it
light, or
slightly.
just right? Everybody
I've
chip in, please. Let us know where you're at.
I was going to say I've changed it just slightly. I do a shoe test.
Oh, tell us about the shoes, Kerry.
Shoe
We know
test.
you and your shoes.
High heel, high heel, street sneaker, or Ugg boot form.
With the Ugg boot being just right.
Right. Too high, too light.
Sure, there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'll leave it alone.
You're outnumbered here, buddy.
High heel.
I'm saying I've only worn high heels once. I don't, too much information, Stephen. Although maybe we'll hear about that. I noticed you booked in. We might hear that story when we talk to you one-on-one. Excellent. Okay. And finally, add case studies and testimonials for social proof if you have them. Now, when you first start, you may not have them, but that's okay. As you roll out your program, you will get more and more. So let us know how you found actually having Steve Eagle come in and give you his insights. So, you know, we've been talking to you about it in detail. What was different about actually having Steve Eagle come in and talk to you about his experience? Tell us what difference it actually made, how you felt having that there. So
great case study, made it real, and so on.
Great to see a live person. Relative, authentic.
Yep.
Validated the process. Another one
Real.
saying made it real.
Yep.
Excellent.
Reinforce what we've been discussing previously as well.
Yep.
What we're trying to do is also get other ways for you to learn. So people learn in different ways. And so if we're teaching you straight off the sheet, some people prefer that. If Steve comes on and pretty much says the same thing, just that different format sometimes can help you learn and take in the information in a different way as well. The other reason is that we get Steve on. It's one thing for us to tell you that something works because we've got a vested interest in it to some degree. Steve gets nothing out of it. It means nothing to him if you do it or don't do it. So he's just coming on and just sharing as well. So he's a lot more believable to have people come on who are not you saying that what you're telling is working as well. So that helps people to accept what you're saying easier.
It's actually interesting. We've got one here that said it put her off to obviously a sales exercise. So you know, you're not going to be able to please everyone with everything that you do. It's just the way it is. But a majority you will be able to. So a majority of people here, you know, liked it, saw it as a great case study, and you know, understand that you know one or two might not like that type of thing. It's just the way it goes.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. So next thing is to how to actually put together your PowerPoint presentation. So when you are putting it together, think about, we said before, you need at least one aha in each session. So what we mean by an aha is something which is maybe counterintuitive. So people were thinking one way and then you swap their thinking around to something else. So I'll give my favorite example again. If you've currently just been selling your time, then think about your time rather than being the whole meal, being the seasoning on top. And so, you know, that kind of flips people's thinking around and makes them go, wow, I'd never thought about that before. Now, put my scientist hat back on. Some of you will know I have a PhD in biochemistry, so anytime I can bring it back to science, I do. When someone gets an aha, physiologically, what actually happens is it gives them a dopamine hit. So it releases dopamine into your brain. And dopamine is one of the happiness hormones. So when you give someone an aha, you're actually giving them this dopamine, this happiness hit. And what it does is it builds a really great relationship. It has them feel, well, I like, you know, hanging out with these people because it makes me feel happy. Okay, so that's the mechanism that's happening behind an aha. The more often you can do that, the better you'll do. Another great way to do that is to actually have a quick tip or a tool, something that you can give people and say, hey, you know, if you use this, it will really speed things up for you or make it easier or something like that. So Kerry's got some really awesome tools that she demonstrates, some things to find out topics for your Facebook Lives, for example. And she goes in, she pulls up these tools, types in a few keywords, and bam, you know, there's 300 topics for Facebook Lives, one a day for the next year. And so suddenly a big problem or question that people have had has suddenly disappeared, and it has exactly the same sort of impact on people. So look for ways to give them ahas or wows, at least once in each session. Also use a logical structure. So what you don't want to do is go, oh, I've got a whole day. I'll just start with once upon a time and then I'll ramble for 6 hours and then they all lived happily ever after, because people will not stick around for that. So you'll see here we had 8 steps and we're working our way through stepwise so that people can actually see step by step by step by step. Here's how you go from this is something I want to do to, you know, here's how I can actually do it. Particularly when you're doing it in an online format, because it's easy for people to get up and go and get a cup of coffee. If they come back and they have no idea where you're up to, if they can't catch up again in the next minute or so, then you've lost them. They will go. Don't have too many words per slide. Now, we have these, I guess, rather than we have these debates, where there are, I guess, kind of 2 main schools of thought with PowerPoints. You will see people at the moment whose PowerPoints just consist of images and nothing else. Particularly in the US at the moment, you know, they're probably not happening so much right now, but the big online events that we've been to most recently, oftentimes the slides were just a series of images and the speaker would just talk about each of those pictures, and you'd have, you know, by the end of it, either a head full of stuff or, you know, a whole bunch of notes. But if you didn't listen carefully, there was nothing else to kind of hang the content on. Our preference tends to be to give you enough information in the words on the slide that you can actually keep track of where you're up to with that, without it being, you know, really, really text heavy in terms of, you know, 300 words per slide. So about 6 bullets per slide. This is about 30-point font. It should be comfortable for you to read and give you enough detail without it looking overwhelming. So that's the way we try and balance it. Use animation so that bullet points come up one at a time. So if this slide came up with all of these words on it all at once, then it would be too much. But because we're bringing them up one line at a time, it's much easier for you to follow. And also use consistent font sizes, locations, and colors on each slide. So you will notice that each slide has a headline, and that headline is pink. All the bullets are pink, and they're all indented the same amount, and all the fonts are the same size, and so on. It's probably not something that you noticed, but you would have if it had been wrong. So it's one of those things that if you get it wrong, it just looks really amateurish. If you get it right, people shouldn't even notice that it exists.
There is a certain type of personality type that will notice this, and there's others who won't. So let me know in the chat box if you're actually a personality type that can spot a spelling mistake at 50 meters, and or the punctuation was the comma was in the wrong spot or something like that. If that's you, let us know if that's you.
Yay,
Yeah.
Team Daryl, yeah.
Now, some of you who won't care. And very clever, Allison's. So some of you won't care or won't notice that there's a spelling mistake. Now, I'm one of these people who think it's a poor person that can only spell a word one way. So you know, and now I wouldn't notice it. But here's the problem. There are the Daryls of the world who can spot it at 100 meters, who will sit in your audience and they'll fixate on that. That's all they will see. They'll see the fact that you haven't capitalized something, or you've used too many capitals, or there's a comma in the wrong spot, and that will distract them from hearing your message. Okay, so go the extra mile, get somebody to look at it. If you're a Grammarly challenge, is that the right the PC word of calling it? If you can't spell to save your life, or you can't do grammar very well, then you get somebody who can. Okay, go the extra mile, give yourself an extra send off, get it looked at and get it checked out, get it looking right, because that will put some people off, and they think, if you can't put that comment in the wrong spot, how can you possibly deliver a $10,000
right, exactly.
$10,000 program? So get it checked.
True, but that's because one of the reasons, apart from my accent, that I did get out of being a journalist is that the spelling and the grammar was challenged, so to speak. So I have to get people double checking my stuff. Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you went to journalist school, you said, making this decision, I'm going to be a journalist and go to journalist school. The idea that you'd need to write and spell and so on, that didn't cross your mind?
No, they have editors for that, so it's actually okay, except the editors do get a little bit peeved off when they're actually continuously editing your stuff. I was just a very special case all the way through. Wrote great stories though, wrote great news, so I was excused from my challenges with stuff in the grammar, and that's why I got into broadcast as well. Didn't have to write quite as much. So.
Yeah.
But I know another story about you. The first time you got into radio broadcasting, and you were actually commentating about a certain car race.
Yes, I actually did breaking news on a big student association theft by the student association president, and it was breaking news, and I ran in and had to do a couple of other stories and then break the news, and I talked about the Grand Prix, actually, is what I was talking about as one of the news items, very first time on air, and I was talking about the Grand Prix, and I got out and everyone's looking at me going.
Yeah, excellent. Basically, a few comments about the Grand Prix there. Well done. Okay, so that is step 5, guys. That's all about putting together your actual event. Step 6 is about getting people to turn up. So we are working our way through. This is the last one that we're going to do in this session before we go to a break. But once you've had people register, because it's a free event, few things that you need to do to actually increase your turn up rate. So we'll talk about a few of those and what they are, and then we'll get Kerry to talk in more detail about using Facebook Messenger to increase turn up rate. So the sorts of things that we do is we send reminder emails. So you will have seen reminder emails come out. I think this time we're using GoToWebinar, so they come out directly from the system. We also do SMS reminders. So for people who've registered through Messenger, and Kerry will talk about this, ManyChat is able to do that. I think for some people, maybe not for everyone at the moment. It's being rolled out, yeah?
It can for everyone now. So you just have to pay extra for that service.
Get out, okay, thank you. Yeah, so we use a system called SMS Burst. For broadcast, you do pay per SMS, but it's not overly expensive. And hey, if we're looking at between $200 and $700 income per registrant, then having one extra person actually turn up to your event is substantial. So it's well worth spending a few cents on an SMS. We also do confirmation calls. So those of you who left your phone number, you would have had a confirmation call. We train up our kids to do all different parts of our business. And at the moment, it was our 17-year-old who was doing all of the confirmation calls. So if a young man, hopefully polite young man, called you up to remind you about the event, then that was our son doing that. But the idea of the confirmation call is just really to make sure they've gotten their link, see if they've got any questions about anything, and just to provide a bit of a friendly voice and a friendly face on the other end of the line, make it a bit more human.
It's also just a reminder, just that whole remember that thing is on, it's coming up again. And just that touching base and so on, just improves it. So we're getting a very polite, very kind young man. Very good. He'll be pleased to hear that.
Yes, thank you for that. We will pass that feedback on. And then, of course, Facebook Messenger. Now, Kerry, do you want me to hand over to you, or do you want me to? I'll hand over to you. Hey, let's do that. It's probably time. Oh, sorry. Do you want me to keep doing it? You probably need to catch up on the slides if you're doing.
Already done it. I'm there.
There you go. All right. Let me swap over. So show your screen.
Rightio, have we swapped? Doesn't look like we're swapping now. Excellent, okay. All right. Should be able to see my slides now.
Not coming through yet. It's blank at this end, but that might just be.
I can see that, but it shouldn't be. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so using Facebook Messenger to increase the turn up rate, which is fantastic. So first of all, we, and you guys might have experienced it yourself, the ones that did register through the chatbot. So we send out a broadcast to people who've registered with reasons why they need to come, they need to come live to the event. Now you can do this up to a week before the one-day event and just send out broadcasts on that. Then it becomes a little bit more automated. So we can send out an automated reminder message. You would have got it 24 hours ahead of time, 2 hours before the event, 1 hour before the event as well, just reminding, hey, listen, the event's coming up, keep calm, we're happening soon, get ready kind of stuff. And then we send out an automated reminder message, including the Join Now link. We've been doing it in this one, we did 10 minutes and 1 minute before the start. I've also been working with 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 minute as well, because some people actually are starting to look at about half an hour or 20 minutes to are starting to look for the link, even though there is actually a link in the email as well. If they've registered through the chatbot, we send the link in the chatbot as well. So we do multiple touch points there, which you would have experienced as well. I don't believe you can actually do too many of these, especially when, you know, people are still coming through and they might not see, for some reason, the one that was up 10 minutes beforehand. So what we've found is turn-up rates of Messenger registrants are much higher using this. And I guess it's that whole, you know, it's nice and easy, it's right in their face. They don't have to go through searching through a billion emails, trying to remember where, what, when, how. I know myself, I've got actually 123,000 unopened emails in my Gmail, which, you know, is just used for that. And that was just over last week. No, but so it's a lot harder to actually go searching back to try and find that link. So in Messenger, it's just right there, okay? So here's an example of the turn-up rates of Messenger versus email registrations, okay? So 543 registrants. There were 300, this is one of my events, there were 332 of those were registered through the chatbot, so through Messenger, so that's 61%, and 211 from email, so registered, click the email button, so that's 39%. So we did have a higher, obviously, Messenger registration rate, purely because that's kind of the preferred method. We kind of highlight it because that's where we want people to register through, and this is the reason why we do that. So ended up with 343 attendees. Now here's the kicker, right? 896 of the 332 that registered through Messenger turned up. That's 89% of the people that registered through the chatbot or through Messenger turned up for the event, as opposed to the email one, we had 47 people from email. So that's 22% of the people that came from email. And those stats are stock standard type stats anyway. So it was actually quite good breaking this down and seeing this, because it's what we kind of see anyway, but then really breaking it down in an event, it actually showed us what the stats typically are anyway. So the second example was another event. So about a few weeks later. Now, this one here was actually done through a JV. So a little bit different than my first event, but the same type of event. So we had the same sort of scenario here, 715 people registered, 458 people registered through the chatbot, so 64%. And then we had 257 that registered using email, just straight into the email. So that's 36% of people that came onto the page went the email route. So ended up with 455 attendees. And this one here was massively high on the messenger side. So 426 of the 458 that registered through the chatbot turned up. That's 93%, right? Compared to email, which was actually a little bit lower than the previous one. We had 11% of people, so 29 people of the 257 from email turned up. So that was only 11%. So you can actually see that with messenger marketing, with the chatbot, with it being so convenient, our turn up rates through the bot are so much higher.
Anyone surprised at how different those numbers are? I was blown away when Kerry showed me those numbers. Yeah, just amazing. Just such a, you know, chalk and cheese in terms of turn up rates, messenger versus email.
Yeah,
Very surprised.
And you might actually say, you know, and this is one of the conversations actually, because we're always trying to tweak these and make these better and whatever else. And, you know, looking at these figures, one would almost say, well, actually, why do I bother having the email one there? I should just do just messenger only and then put everyone through there. What would actually end up happening is that not everyone actually has messenger, or it doesn't really like it, so they self-select anyway. Sure, the ones from email have a lower turn-up rate, but at least they register. At least we get them there. At least we can still get them on a list, and they might turn up at a later date. So still offer both options there.
Yep.
So here are sort of reminders, examples of the reminder messages that go out in Messenger, and some of you might have experienced these yourself. So the first one is 24 hours ahead of time. Have a little bit of Will Smith here, can't wait. So excited to see you registered, and I can't wait to share with you how to discover how to run a profitable online event that clients love. Let me know if you have any questions. So that's the very first message that goes out 24 hours ahead of time, okay? We obviously have changed over now, and we do well, I do a 20-minute one, but we do a 10-minute one and a 5-minute one. So hey, just a quick note to remind you that our event starts in 5 minutes, and then there's the join event link right there. And then starting now, hey, just a quick note to remind you that our one-day event is starting now. If the link doesn't work, you'll find a link sent to your email that will get you there, right? So join event, and they click on that. And, you know, like I said, some of you would have experienced that as well. But yeah, so what we're doing is we send in one around about 20 minutes now and 10, just to keep preempting. Here's the link, just in case you can't find it, because it's actually quite surprising. You know, and all this stuff is learning curves. Just because we think something's obvious, sometimes it's not. And we've actually had quite a few people say, I haven't got the link, I didn't get the link, where's the link? And we can see clearly the link's in there and it's been sent to them twice, but for some reason, if you get banner blindness on some of this stuff, you get banner blindness. So we just keep reminding, here's the link, and so on. Now, obviously, some of you guys got this incorrectly. There were people that actually got this that were not here, that actually ended up messaging us saying, really sorry, there's a reason why I couldn't come, or oh dear, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, our event started, haven't seen you join yet, click below to join us now. That comes in around about 30 minutes into the event, just to remind people, hey, listen, Mom, if they're not on, but because it's set up to track people that have clicked on the join now link in Messenger to start the event, it only tracks those people as attending, and not if you actually copied the link, put it in your browser, or went through the link that you got in the email, it won't necessarily track you there, or if you used a different one or any other derivative of that. But still well worth having, you know. Sure, it's had some of you guys worrying, saying, hey, wait a minute, I am here, but you know, it's still another touch point, and you're still able to get in front of people that actually weren't there, and perhaps give them a reminder if they were busy at the time and didn't see the other messages prior to. So, have you got any questions around that? I have lost my mouse. Well, there she is.
The mouse. It's the little furry thing running around.
I'll actually swap back to
come back over to us.
To us while we're doing it. Maybe.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
So, any questions on anything that we've done in that thing over here? Let us know. Anything that you've done in that session? Any questions on anything? Chuck them in the box. If you have no questions, say no questions or all good, so we know that you're
actually,
not typing.
There's actually a really good question in here, and it was probably to before, and I'm not sure whether you did actually answer it in typing there, Daryl, but I'd like to answer this one live to everyone. Pauline said, Aussies are, and this is talking about the call, the confirmation calls, Aussies are very skeptical about marketing calls from overseas, so don't answer. I would have picked up if a local mobile number came up. I get a lot of weird calls from overseas that I end up blocking. There are options around that. I'm not sure what Kian ended up using for this, whether it was Skype or whatnot, but there are options where you can actually use things like I think it's called Just Call, which can give you a mobile number, and so it's another system that doesn't matter where you're from, you can actually log in and get a mobile number and call from there, or a message from there, and so on. So.
Nice. Alrighty, guys. Biggest aha. How are we going so far? What was your biggest aha in this session?
What did you learn in this session? What was your big learning?
Really good opportunity for you to look back through your notes, make sure that you're actually cementing everything in that you've actually been learning.
This is your price of admission today. Give us your aha for this session, please. Let us know.
Pauline has just said, I love this. So good to know. I have an evergreen webinar in the market right now. Ads are working, registration's okay, but show up rate not great. Clearly no brainer to add Messenger. So grateful for your lesson. Yep. Thank you so much.
Tom's biggest aha is to make sure there's an aha in every session.
Aha, I see what happened there.
See what you're doing there, Tom. I see how you did. So what was your biggest learning, guys? Biggest learning, biggest aha in that session? Please make sure that you contribute on this one. Let us know. Don't be just skulking in the cyber darkness. Come on out. Let us know what you were learning in that one. All good. Excellent.
The 20-minute, 10-minute, 1-minute all automated. Yes, they are. I'm not sure whether I answered that as I went through, or whether I'm actually just going back to questions that have already been answered. Messenger turn-up rate success.
Okay, good stuff. Have an email registration options, even if it's low. Yep. There's many ways that you can let people get in. That's great. Make it easy for them.
Process and steps are all doable. I like that one.
Yeah.
Nice. Alrighty, guys, just before we do go to a break, let me just do, we've had a few questions about the actual online workshop success program. So I might just very quickly go back through some of the questions that people have been asking about the program itself, and then we'll just do a quick recap. So we've had a couple of people asking variations of this one, and that is, I don't have a clear topic, I don't have a clear business idea, I'm not sure what I'd be selling. Is it worth me putting in an application? So guys, if you like the idea of this model and you would like to have a discussion with us about whether there is something that we could perhaps see that you could be selling, more than happy to have that conversation with you. We've put aside a couple of days next week to talk to anyone who thinks that they would like to apply what it is that we're talking about here. So if you're not sure, absolutely happy to spend 45 minutes with you just seeing whether there's any opportunities there. So happy to do that. The next question was, my partner, whether that's a few people saying husband or wife or business partner, hasn't been at the event, I'd like to have a talk to them before I book in a call. So guys, what we're doing today is, if you would like to be considered for the program, we do need you to book in a call today before we actually finish up today. If your partner hasn't been at the event, that's okay. There's a few things that we can do. Make sure that whatever time you book, it's a time that they're available so that we can answer questions for them. But we can also make the videos available for them as well, so that they can have a look at those. But you do need to book a time today in order to be considered for a place. You know, we're not going to be stretching this over weeks as we chase people up. We do have other things on that we're doing. Andrew, you might want to answer this one. We had a few people saying, oh, you know, I just can't see why people would pay me between $3,000 and $10,000 for a program.
Well, they're not paying you anything really in that sense, paying you. What they're doing is they're buying a solution, buying a product off you. And so if you design the product correctly, and if you're in with us, we'll help you do all that for you to make sure that you're in the right pond. What they're buying is the answer to the problem, or the solution, and so on. And so it's just a function of making that solution more valuable than the price that you're asking for it. And so although you might feel unsure about it, uncomfortable about it at this point, once you start to work on it and get some ideas, then I'm sure you'll become a lot more comfortable. Also, one of the things that we do with our clients is we do some head space stuff. We look at some of the blocks that might be blocking you from going ahead, and we sort of coach you in that as well. Who understands at the moment? Actually, this is a good question. Who understands that you might be your biggest blockage to success? What I mean by that is that the voices in your head, so to speak, or the way you think about yourself and so on, might not be as helpful for you to be as successful as you might want to be. Who understands that? If you can just maybe let us know if you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying that. Well, the amount that you sell something for is very much linked to that sort of thinking and so on, how you process stuff and so on. We'll help you with that, and we'll be able to help you identify your blockages to success. That's a big key part of what we do.
Cool. Sorry, we did have some more. Okay, so again, I think consultant type people, we were getting this sort of question from. My system has to be delivered one-on-one, or it has to be delivered face-to-face, or, you know, it's different for each client. I have to actually be there delivering it one-on-one. So guys, we work with lots and lots of people who tell us the same thing. The reality is you have a system. It might just take a little bit of time for us to actually pull that system out of you, but that's part of what we do as part of the process. So, you know, if you want to continue to be swapping hours for dollars, okay, you can do that. Is it necessarily the smartest thing that you could be doing? Is it, you know, the way to make a lot of money and have a fantastic life? Maybe have a think about that one. So, you know, more than happy to talk to you about how we might be able to help you design something which has you as the seasoning, not the whole meal. Next one was I don't yet have a list. So I don't have, you know, a list of people that I can upload as a database custom audience. Is it worth me applying? Kerry, you might want to answer that one if someone doesn't have a list in terms of their marketing.
Listen, I work with a lot of people that don't have lists. That's one of the very first things we go and do. Well, it's about the second or third thing we go and do after we figure out who the avatar is, build up some cold audiences, because Facebook has your list anyway. As long as we can identify who the people are that you want to target, then we can find them in Facebook. We can get them to watch your video, you start building an audience, and then, you know, and then the rest is history, realistically. Then we start building the list. So a lot of my people, like I said, do not have anything when they come in and start this. They don't have a database, they don't have a list, some don't even have audiences. Absolutely from ground zero, we can build that stuff really, really quickly, and I have a really great system for building a really highly qualified list in a really short time. As long as you know who those people are, and you know we do the research for that.
Excellent, thank you. And then we had a couple of people asking, when does the program start? Either going, I want to be doing this yesterday, or going, I'm really busy over the next few weeks. So guys, this is a small group program. We're happy to be a little bit flexible for you. So if you do put in an application, one of the things that we will talk to you about is your timing. It is a 12-month program, so you know, if you want to do it really quickly, we do have that quick start component. If you don't want to be rushed and, you know, get things happening in the next 3 months, that's fine. You can spread it out over the full 12 months. Either way, you get 12 months of support from us. So we do like to start everyone in the one intake rather than in dribs and drabs over, you know, weeks and months. So if you are interested in getting involved, pop your application in for this round, and then we can have a talk about timing when we get into our one-on-one call. Alrighty, so let me just, can you click on this one, please, Andrew? Thank you kindly. So let me just very quickly recap what it is that you get, because we did have a few people saying, oh, I might have missed something that was in the offer, asking about how the finance option worked and so on. But let me just do a quick recap again. So 7 main components: initial planning with Andrew and I, and that is done one-on-one. Typically 2 to 3 hours is what we need to actually put all of this together. After that, a 3-day intensive with us to actually create all of your components. So that's to design your offer, write your booking page, and create your PowerPoint presentation. By the end of that, you have everything that you need to actually run your event. Kerry then does her 3-day intensive where she teaches you a whole bunch of stuff around Facebook, creating and optimizing your Facebook business page. I've been to one of Kerry's retreats. It's amazing. You've got your computer in front of you and you're doing this while Kerry teaches you how to do it. It's absolutely the best way to learn it. You actually go in and create your cold and warm audiences, you create and run your video ads, you build your video view audience. You've actually done it by the end of the 3 days, which is super cool. You create image ads. She shows you how to do that and to write the copy with the call to action to book into your event. And you actually create your messenger flow to build your list as well. And then the ongoing stuff that you need to manage your business page in under 10 minutes a day while growing your list. The fourth component then is that Kerry actually does this for you. So yes, she teaches you how to do it, but we do want to make sure that it's set up properly as well. So Kerry actually creates all your Facebook campaigns for you to fill your event, including the remarketing for people who do or don't register. And she creates your messenger flow for you to fill your event with all of those different reminders and so on. Our tech team builds your event booking page for you, and that's hooked up to your payment processor for your VIP tickets, your autoresponder and messenger, so you don't have to worry about finding someone to do that for you. And then we provide you support over the 12 months. So a bunch of online training, all the Facebook stuff, all about delivering your offer, all about structuring and running your event and your sales process. You also get email access to us for 12 months for any questions that you have in between times, and membership to Kerry's Tribe Thrive private Facebook group so that you can be hanging out with a group of like-minded people. And of course, as our special bonus, we have our 90-day quick start program for those of you who want to get going and running your first event really, really quickly. Our commitment is to deliver all of that in the next 90 days, as well as over the 12 months for those of you who want to take it a bit slower. I probably don't need to go through that summary again, do I? That's everything that's in it that I've just talked about. The pricing, as we said before, our standard pricing, and that's each, if you're talking to Kerry or to us, you're normally paying that sort of amount, between $20,000 and $26,000 for us. What we are doing just for this, we know what an amazing system it is. We know just how much it can actually help you. So right now we're making this available where you get all three of us for just $9,997 up front, or $52 a week for a payment plan if you prefer to cash flow it. And so all you need to do at this stage, guys, is pop your booking in. I've sent you through the booking link to book in for a 45-minute conversation. No obligation until we actually have that conversation.
Good stuff.
Anything you want to add, Andrew?
Oh, that price, by the way, does include you and your significant other. In this case, it can be your actual wife or husband, but also your business partner as well. So if you're looking at this, doing this as a part of a business, as long as you have an existing relationship at the moment in terms of some sort of business idea, that includes that
Oh, we did.
that partner as
We
well.
did also have a question about the finance. Yes, you do need to qualify. Obviously, like any finance thing, they will ask you questions about it. We don't get involved in that. But if you are interested in that, then we can point you in the right direction, have you talk to the right people.
Okay, folks, it's
so Stephen's asked that if the events are done virtually,
Yes.
or links to recording, they are actually done live, because we do actually, even though they're a group intensive, we do work individually with you on that. It's your business. So even with, for our online retreats, they're live, but we actually have breakout rooms and that to work with individual people as they're going through different things, or if someone falls behind, we go into breakout rooms and that. So they're not, we do have recordings that you can go back and look at later, but the actual intensive is actually done live over 3 days. And very, even though it's a system, it's very tailored to each person because of the fact that we are able to do breakout rooms, go onto people's screens, have a look at their stuff as we go through as well.
So just to be clear, that's live on screen as we are doing it now. They'll just be with you and a couple other people, or you personally, depending on what part of the program we're talking about. So we won't be face to face with you in the room, but we'll be face to face with you online. But it's not recorded, pre-recorded in that sense.
Awesome. Alrighty. And Lisa's saying great value. It's a no-brainer. As a startup, I'd rather pay the expert to help me get over myself and get there.
Yay, good stuff.
There you go. Good summary. Thanks, Lisa. Tess is asking how many people maximum would be at the 3 days. So it probably varies between us and Kerry. So ours is probably 4 or 5 in ours. So not huge numbers. Kerry, I think there are about 15 on the at the event that I went to with you, and that was really manageable because I know you have your staff there. They're going into breakout rooms with you if needed, or with the staff to help, with any issues. But yours is so systemized and so easy for people to follow through. So
we've had 28, but
wow.
of the 28, we actually had, that was our last one, but we actually had 10 coming on just observing. Because they were coming to do a live retreat somewhere down the track. So we actually do have the options of actually, if people are warming up in that, we do have people that say, okay, come along, observe for one. We won't be working with you. You can't ask questions, but you can observe. And then you get to come along later where you actually get to do it. So that's why we were able to have so many on. And then we only worked with a smaller group of people. It was a really, really great way of those people that observed just to, for the first time doing the stuff, just to actually get a feel for it until they actually become involved in it. So
yeah. Well, I know I've heard your stuff so many times, and I still learn stuff when I went to your retreat. So alrighty guys, so what we are going to do after the break is we're going to come back and do the last 2 steps. So we've got run your event, managing the technology, and make sales. So we've probably got an hour at the most. I'm thinking maybe rather than have a 30-minute break, how about we have a bit shorter break here, just time to have a cuppa. And that way, I'm sorry we are running over time. Still getting used to running this one and getting the timing exactly right. Hopefully, though, you've gotten value out of it, and that that we have actually given you some stuff which has been useful for you. So what do we want to do? Is 20 minutes okay?
Okay, 20-minute break, everybody. Everybody cool with that?
20 minutes works?
20 minutes, all good. Okay. Yep. Okay, everybody saying yes, yes, yes. So 20 minutes. I'll put a clock up there, and we'll be good to go in 20. Have a break. In the meantime, go check out the LinkedIn. The calendar links for the page. Click on that link and book in for an appointment if you're interested in having a chat about our program, what we're running. And I can't see why you wouldn't be interested. I'd be wondering why you just spent a day with us if you're not interested. But anyway, look forward to seeing you on the call.